0000 on April 26, 1986 at 1:23 a.m. On the night of the 4th unit of Chase, an accident occurred. The explosion and the fire that followed not only destroyed the building and the reactor unit, but also claimed human lives. The first group of technical experts and Nikita specialists arrived at Chase on the evening of April 26, and the second group with video cameramen on April 27. As a result of the accident and more destroyed were part of the buildings on the side of the reactor emergency cooling cylinder system and the main circulation pumps of the B room and the reactor unit. 0049. Of the Terac, the end part of the building is less damaged here. Mainly the ventilation room is destroyed. The other buildings ASS not damaged on the roofs of the buildings. In the underpipe space and around the destroyed unit, scattered a large amount of graphite radioactive debris inside the reactor devices in the depth of the rubble. A large amount of debris of building structures, part of the crane of the central hall spacesuit unloading loading machine clearly visible are red spots of red-hot graphite ejected from the reactor to reduce radioactive 0138 emissions since April 27th. More than 5,000 tons of shielding materials have been dumped into the reactor shaft. A view of the rubble from the liquid and solid waste storage area in the foreground. The transfer trestle is almost completely destroyed. The central hall tent and the monolithic bearing walls of the reactor compartment. The equipment of the circulation circuit separators, downpipes is almost in its original state. The ventilation systems are destroyed. The city of the builders and operators, AS Pripyat, a day after the evacuation, 2:31, which was carried out on April 27 within 2 hours. The multi-story blocks of the city with 50,000 inhabitants were emptied for a long time. 3 months after the accident, significant changes in the environment occurred. A so-called red forest located to the southwest of the plant, which was the main source of the radioactive release, was identified and subsequently had to be uprooted and buried in a special burial ground deep underground. 324, work began to eliminate the consequences of the accident. The main task at this stage was to clean the roofs in the territory of Unit 4. This work was carried out by domestic and foreign engineering and construction technicians. The rough work of cleaning the territory was done by engineering machines. The top 30 centimeters of soil was removed by bulldozers, protected from radiation, and one radio controlled by Komatsu. A crane with a lifting capacity of 350 tons, made by the West German firm Demag, was used for construction work. Radioactive waste was collected by robots, 415, many of which were made specifically for work in Chernobyl in mid-July. At Unit 4 began construction of protective walls. The first phase of work on the shelter facility, which was to completely isolate the destroyed block for the construction of this structure, required a large amount of concrete, which was fed continuously into the formwork of the walls of the sarcophagus, for which a system of pipelines was installed. Feeding concrete directly into the rubble was made from a great distance by special pumps, with the 458 selected in a chain. All this allowed to reduce considerably to the costs of the builders. The rubble near the unit was used as a storage area, where containers with radioactive debris collected from the territory of the MPP were lowered by cranes and helicopters. A complex of hydraulic engineering works was carried out to protect groundwater in the area of the MPP from contamination during the construction of impervious walls in the ground around the perimeter of the plant. The equipment of the Italian company Casa Grande was used by the time of filming under the reactor of Unit 4 was destroyed by heat. 540, a concrete slab in the engine room between the 3rd and 4th units and the protective walls separating them were built. The condition of the equipment and building structures of Unit 3 was examined, their load-bearing capacity and the possibility of repair. And it was found that during the dumping of protective materials into the shaft of the destroyed reactor, the roof of the reactor hall was punctured and cracks appeared in the rooms at the upper levels, and in some building structures of Unit 3, blog repair and preventive maintenance works and revision of the first unit of the plant began. 0628 Reactor Equipment Protection Control Systems, metal diagnostics of the pipelines of the first circuit to prevent the spread of radioactive dirt from the 30-kilometer zone. All transport working on the axis was subjected to dosimetric control if necessary. Its DICE activation, you see the point of sanitary treatment of equipment deployed in the field near the village of Kapachi, and this is the site for storage of contaminated equipment. By mid-September, construction entered the final stage. Difficult structures of the upper ceiling, 0723, preliminarily enlarged on the assembly site, is installed by crane Demic on 2 supports. On the bearing beams, repair of the roof of the engine room is completed. Works on cleaning of roofs continue. Large amount of graphite and elements inside the reactor devices appeared on the roofs of the rooms of Unit 3, on the screen upper part of the process channel, with the remains of fuel assemblies found on the roof of the cylinder system of emergency cooling of the reactor of the 3rd power unit. Low bearing capacity of roofs and their bituminous coating excluded. 0809. The use of special equipment for their cleaning was performed by volunteers. Only a few tens of seconds were given to them to perform a specific task of cleaning the roofs because the radiation level was very high, and people dressed in lead armor performed all the necessary work. Roofs of auxiliary buildings and from the DICE were activated by film-forming polymer compositions such as Bardo and latex decontamination of the pipe. And under the pipe space was performed with the help of a hydro monitor mounted on a robot. 853. Construction of the 5th power unit has stopped in the stage of readiness of installation of the reactor. Here also works on decontamination of building structures and preservation of reactor equipment after performance of repair works, and a complex of measures on increase of safe operation on October 2. The startup of the 1st power unit, 2, started its operation at the end of November, as a result of selfless efforts of many labor collectives and soldiers of the Soviet Army. In less than 5 months, the protective structure was completed, 939, an important stage of work to eliminate the consequences of the accident at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. One of the main goals has been achieved. The destroyed unit has been shut down, but there are still many challenges ahead for scientists. Thanks for watching. If you like the video, subscribe to the channel and watch other informative videos.